everyone, Joshua Hanlon here at BrickSlopes in Utah, and today I'm joined by a couple of builders who have created this fantastic Lego Turntables display. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves, and then we'll take a look at the build.
Yeah, I'm Corey Maxfield.
And I'm Adam Herendeen.
And this is our build. I'm an actual DJ, and we thought it'd be really cool to try to build a DJ setup out of Lego. And so the trickiest part of this whole build was easily these turntable platters here. Getting them to roll, getting them to spin, and getting it to be round and the right size. You want it to be 12 inches. That's what size the standard record is. So you get it at 12 inches, and then making sure that they actually function when you're done, which has been tricky. As a guy who doesn't do a lot of technique, I've never felt so dumb trying to figure that out. But anyway, it's great. And then the mixer here, which is the brains of the whole operation. Obviously, you've got faders here that determine the volume of each side, so they move up and down. And then this fader here determines which side the crowd is hearing. So if it's on this side, they're hearing the record over here. If you switch it over, they're hearing this one. And then all of these light up here. These are touch buttons. You usually use those to set cue points, loops, things like that, so that as you're DJing, you can keep the music going and you can cleanly fade from one song into the other. When you're DJing, you typically have one song playing on record. In fact, we'll get one going right here. Drop the needle on the record, start it out. And you'll adjust the speed of it to where you want it. And the crowd is hearing this side over here, so they can hear that song. And then what I'm doing on the other side here is I'm queuing up the next track. So I will have my headphones on right here. I got my headphones on. I'm listening to this next track. I'm lining up the beats. I can even change the key of the song so that as I slowly fade from one into the other, the beat keeps going, the crowd doesn't even notice, and they just keep dancing. So it's kind of the basic function.
So your job is kind of create that seamless experience then for those listening.
Absolutely. You never want to give them an excuse to get off the dance floor. You just got to keep them there. So,
how did you incorporate the screen in the middle?
Yeah, so that's actually an old phone that I had, and so the digital, like the readout there, is recorded directly off of my actual mixer that I use when I'm DJing. And so I recorded that and then put it on the phone, and we actually built the mixer around the phone. And so it actually turned out really good. And you can see on here, it tells you your beats per minute up here, how much time is left on each song as well, so that you can keep track of what's going on as you're mixing.
Fantastic. So then Adam, Corey is kind of the DJ between the two of you. So what was your contribution? How did you help out with this build?
Just a lot of trying to figure out different techniques and technical problems that arose. This is both very much out of our wheelhouse. We both build very much just in the whole minifigure scale. And so this was, when I was over at Corey's, he's like, hey, do you want to work on a collaboration? And I was like, okay. And I was thinking, gosh, I have so much I'm already building. I don't know what I'm going to do. But yeah, let's do it. And so he said that he wanted to build two turntables and a mixer, like 1-to-1 scale. This is literally like his exact setup for his actual turntables and everything. And so I was like, okay. And I was like, I don't even know where to start. And I don't think either one of us really did, but we just kind of hammered it out. And I mean, when Corey couldn't figure something out, like, I would have some epiphany and we'd figure it out, and vice versa. And so it came together really, really cool. We, different techniques, we're both not into technique at all. So that was a real big learning curve for us. But yeah, we did, we tried using a lot of different little elements, like the little hot dog here for to lift up the arm and everything, just little things like that to try and make it as authentic and as real as possible.
Now, Corey, you mentioned the headphones. You also have your own microphone here as well.
Yeah. Mic check. Is this thing on? No, we actually use the TIE Fighter. As you can see, TIE Fighter
cockpit.
Windshield, yeah, cockpit windshield for the top of it there, and then cable coming out the bottom, and then the headphones as well. This was kind of a fun sort of technical build to try to get studs out on both sides and have the ear cups so that everything looked clean. And then as you can see, we've incorporated the new dots bracelets inside of there, which really holds the structure of it because the hinges don't hold the weight, and it makes it way more comfortable to wear, and you can adjust the size as you need. So.
Perfect. Now, if you can, take us through a little bit more of the functionality of this build. How did you overcome those difficulties that you guys kind of talked about there?
Yeah, if you want, we can actually show you. I'm going to pull this off real quick. So this was the most difficult and challenging piece of it, and the most complex piece of it. So you can see there's wheels going into these panels, recessing in each of these panels, and that gives it that really smooth rolling motion. And all of our garbage tiles that we don't like to use.
It's so colorful, though.
Yeah, underneath there, exactly. But getting this so that it holds together and rolls smoothly and has that nice round shape was probably the biggest technical challenge. And it turned out even better, I think, than we expected, size-wise and the way that it turns and rolls. And typically a record turns at 33 1/3 RPM. We've geared this down to about 27, which was the closest we could get and still be kind of true to it. You don't want it going too fast because it would literally like fly apart. And even in here, like these batteries, switch just lifts out and there's a battery box right there. So it's not nearly as complex as it seems. And the same thing with our lights here. These are simply the classic light bricks. And you just press down on them and there's a bar under there that they press against so that they light up when you hit them.
I love those solutions. I think sometimes it's tempting to kind of over-engineer with some Lego builds, but really the simpler it is, the easier it is if something goes wrong to fix it.
And we've had to fix it a number of times so far. But yeah, overall, we're very, very pleased with it. And it's something that we had never seen done in Lego before, which was part of the appeal, right? Showing something to people that they've never seen before. So
now this is an actual record over here, right?
Yes, it is. So when you're DJing, nowadays DJs don't carry all of their records because they're really heavy and they're expensive. And so you use a record that has a beeping noise on it. And the needle can actually read that beeping noise and tell your computer where the MP3 should be. So if you stop the record, it stops the MP3. If you scratch the record, you scratch the MP3, slow down, speed it up. And so you get the traditional control and feel of vinyl while still having all the convenience of digital and the huge library and everything at your fingertips. You can set perfect loop points and stuff like that, and they even do pitch lock. So normally when you speed a record up, it sounds like Chipmunks, where if you slow it down, it sounds like somebody's drunk or something. They will actually lock the pitch so that people can't even tell that you've sped it up or slowed it down. It keeps it at the original pitch so nobody can even tell what you're doing in the background to just keep that party going.
So technology has kind of changed the game a little bit there.
But it is interesting how technology has gotten so much better, and yet there is still no better way to control it than vinyl. So it's really cool the way they've melded the two worlds.
I love that. So then, Adam, when you guys brought this to the show, what was that process like in terms of bringing it and setting it up?
Yeah, so Corey brought it because I had to bring my own mock, which I'm thankful for. But yeah, this actually breaks down into 3 different sections. Both turntables are their own section, and then the mixer. And so we actually just have everything put together with Technic pins, and then we just kind of have it elevated so people can see the angle a little bit better. But a lot of the guts of everything, as far as the power and everything, is actually all behind the mixer, which is actually quite fitting. So yeah, but yeah, it's only 3 sections, and it's actually pretty durable. The casing and everything itself. Just the Technic stuff is very finicky.
What's it like underneath there to get that kind of raised up in the back? Has that caused any issues in terms of the functionality and not having it flat?
We were originally very worried about that, which is why you can see the mixer is angled up, because we didn't think we were going to be able to, but it also works really well. You can lay the mixer flat and it sits down in here. It should anyway. Real nice.
In theory, as always.
It does, yeah. It does sit down nice and flat because we were worried that angling it would screw up the Technic thing. But once we got it here and we elevated it, we're like, oh, that's actually not that. Like, it's holding. It's not throwing off the geometry at all, which is maybe a testament to how well we built it, I hope. But anyway, it's actually functioned really, really well, even at an angle, which you would never actually want to DJ that way because it would send your tone arm, as you can see with this one, because of the gravity, it just draws it right to the middle, right? So if it were laying flat, that obviously wouldn't happen. But that's really been the only challenge, I think, is that angle and getting the Technic to work. So
this is such a unique build. What has the public reaction been like to this as people walk up to this build?
The kids are confused. The parents are impressed. You know, a lot of kids haven't seen a record before, but a lot of people look at it and it's kind of that like acknowledgement of like, okay, this is different. It's not, you know, size-wise is not necessarily something that draws people to it immediately, but once they stop and take a look, they really appreciate all the details and how true it is to the real thing. And another example is that like on the back of every tone arm, you have a counterweight, so that you use that to balance how much pressure is being put on the record so that you don't grind into the record too much. And so you can actually turn and adjust that to adjust how much weight is counterbalancing your needle while you're playing it. And so there's just a lot of little details like that, and even like the way that the tone arm is being held up. And then you can see these lights right here. Those are called stylus lights, and that is when you're DJing, you're normally in a very dark place. Usually it's a club or a wedding or something like that. And so that allows you to see where your needle is at on the record by shining that light across the surface of the record. And so we incorporated those as well.
Perfect. So many amazing details here. This is such a fantastic build, very unique. So thank you both for the work you put into building this and bringing it out to the show. I appreciate it.